Here's my trade review for Friday, August 27th. I started out with a Tesla trade here. Um, Basically, it was a daily range trade, range support. So what I mean by that is, if you look on the 60-minute here, basically Tesla has been trending between about $15 worth, basically between $702 all the way up to 715. It's been doing this for about four and a half days. Ever since it broke out 5 days ago, it created value up here, and it's kept that range for the next 4 days, which is great. And so price was opening near the bottom down here. And so I watched for certain patterns for it to hold support and then got long. Another added thing for this type of setup is the fact that it did break through support yesterday at the end of the day, which could have created a new trend down or breakout down. However, that's not what happened. Price throughout the through the night, price got back above and was holding it, and so this is where it was a key area to watch for, because it could have in fact broken under and continued down, or went up, and that's what it did. It went up. So the fact that it went under and then got back inside is an even better signal, because a lot of times if it's a fake breakout and comes back into the range, it has a bit of momentum and speed to getting back up to the top even faster than when it's just taking its time here. So so that was the overall idea. And so at the open here, what I saw was a couple compressions. So right here I drew, this is an ATR. This is about how much it moves, about 15 bucks, even though actually I think ATR is about 20. So that was maybe incorrect. So that actually should have been higher, should have been up here. But the actual range here the last 5 days was $15. So I think that's why I had that. And you can see it aligns with yesterday's high. So what it did at the open, went down right away, hit pre-market low, held the bottom of that daily support, went up, came back down, did a bit of a double bottom, and to add to that, it made a little compression, consolidation, and then broke out with some volume. So that to me says, okay, I can risk against that. I did risk here, even though I could have risked tighter here, because had it come back in, it might have gone back to the bottom again. Consolidated again, broke out again, this time with even better VPA, and so I added in. So I had two separate stops. One was right around here, and then the second one was right around here. And then once I started partialing, I did move the stop to break even, which was right in the middle here. So there's some things I did right and some things I did wrong. I think these partials were smaller, and I'm okay with that. I had an order up here at 7:15, or somewhere around up here. But the idea is that a lot of times this trade can take a while to get from bottom to top. Okay, it can sometimes take all day. You see Thor do these trades, these S3 to R3 trades, and they can take the whole day or half the day. So the fact that it got up here, which is the meat of the move, in a matter of minutes, about 10 minutes, means that you're gonna, it's probably gonna have to pull back and breathe a bit. So I had an order up here thinking it was gonna take a while, maybe later in the day. However, the fact that it got up here so fast, I created a trend line. It broke it with decent volume. I probably should have taken off quite a bit right here and then gotten that trade for at least right there. And also you can see here there was a good volume candle right here for the new high, and then these two kind of died a little bit. So there was sort of some signals here that, trend line break, VPA signal, and then nearing 1 ATR. These range trades aren't perfect. They don't move as well as like a breakout trade. This is kind of the gray area. So I think I should have partialed somewhere in here bigger, and then I could have added later potentially. So instead of doing that, I had that order up here, didn't get filled. So I did partial some of that down here, which lost me some P&L. Tried to make up for some of it with this ad, and so, but I got a decent trade. I'm happy with my entering here, and I'm happy with a bigger time frame idea. My next trade was also a pretty good trade. This was PLTR. It does have news of, Cathie Wood buying up a ton, like $40 million worth of shares. A lot of different things. You could see I had a breakout day a few weeks ago. Had this nice range that it's created. So the top of this range is $25.75. We're going to just call it the $26 area, because you can see here price couldn't break above it here. And so basically I'm trading between this range. However, the lows are getting higher here. Volume's coming in. And so on the 60-minute, you can really see here how the lows are getting higher and higher, okay? So what I did was played yesterday's daily range with the idea that this thing is trending up. It's compressing up against this $26. If price is close to the high of yesterday, gets on top of it, gives me a pattern to trade against. I'm going to go long, and that's exactly what it did. This 25.39 here, high of yesterday, it got above it, and I risked against that. So what it gave me in the morning was, it held pre-market low, got above pre-market high, held VWAP, got above that level, 25.39. It was sort of a battle. And so I got in, and then it held it a bit longer. I added in again, got a little bit tighter. This was a small entry, and this was a bit bigger. And then sure enough, it broke there, partialed, and then couldn't really break that 25.75 area. I mean, it did get up to $26 multiple times. However, just this whole zone was really hard for it to get up above. This was the ATR here. So really, when I already entered halfway through the ATR, which isn't amazing. And so that is a good reason to partial more right up here. And that's what it did. It didn't get past $26. I did think there was a potential for this breakout to happen on this day. When this does break out above 26 and 26.50, there is going to be a lot of volume. And I thought this, so another thing is, this thing had 150% RVOL. I think it had 140%, but it increased as it went up. This thing's going to need a lot of volume. RVOL's up. It wants to do something in my mind. To me, it's like it doesn't want to stay in its daily range. It wants to break out, and it needs that RVOL high. So I made some money here, but I did keep more shares with the idea that this 26 was potentially going to break, and then a whole new trade was going to be created. This was going to break out, break through with this volume, but then we were going to get continuation volume, which is exactly what didn't happen at all. This was more just a isolated climactic volume at 26, and then one more time the same thing. But what I was looking for was a potential for it to actually break out, and then we get a whole nother trade, which I would trade this separately anyways. So the fact that I'm already in it, I was going to add in really heavy and make my day, maybe even my week with this trade here. Hopefully I'll eventually get one of these. But I think the key to this is to see the technical levels set up like this, and if the breakout hasn't happened yet, and if you think it could happen on the day of, a lot of times you'll see price open near the top. I'd say the top half of the range. RVOL's already high, so it's already brewing, and then that's when you get that potential breakout. So yeah, I added here, partialed up here. I had a few more shares I wanted to add in, and instead of here, I really wanted to add in right here at this double bottom. I kind of messed up, and of course I was watching this for hours, and then I didn't get in when I wanted, but I really liked this support play. VWAP now was here, double bottom. I would have risked really tight here if I could have, for the idea just to get to 26, and I could have made a good amount, maybe even a couple R's here just on that, because my stop was down here. I could have gotten in really tight, and yeah, that's a bummer there. So I think what I did well on this was trade it all day long. I learned a lot. There was a potential for that breakout, like I said, had it broke 26 and other players getting involved, but it didn't, and that's okay. I also could have gotten this little range scalp here that could have made me an even more, a couple R's. So I'm happy about that. So I'm overall happy with the bigger idea, the management, and increasing my patience and my discipline and my stamina for watching these stocks all day long. I've tried a couple others. I'm working on this compression and triangle breakouts. I'm trying to look for them more, trying to combine them with a news catalyst stock. This is a good example. DKS, Dick's Sporting Goods, had really good earnings 2 days ago. Basically, it's in play these next few days here. This is a third day play, and you could see here, huge gap up, made a range here. The second day stayed within the range, got a bit above it. Third day nearing the top of this new range, and basically all I noticed was, hey, this thing still had higher than 1 RVOL. It opened near the top, so it had room to keep going. Plus, it was giving me what I wanted, which was a nice compression. So here's the high of yesterday. Price opens up top half of this. Clearly makes a resistance here at 136, 136.38, which is about 20 cents below yesterday's high. Clear resistance, clear top. 1, 2, 3, 4 touches here. Well, 3 touches with bounces down. Higher lows. This is just perfect. Picture perfect. What I want to see. I want to see a breakout with volume. I did get a volume spike here before the breakout, and then there was a volume spike later on here. But we'll talk about my management in a second. But here's an ATR. So it was just perfect. We had half an ATR with the compression. We got the breakout, and this thing had RVOL. So yeah, this was a perfect setup. I know how to. What I do is I know how to manage my risk here. I know that if price gets below here, it's most likely not breaking out, and it's just gonna stay within this range here, somewhere in here the rest of the day, or go back to VWAP. Or maybe it needs to take its time longer and brew some more and compress more, and that's okay. I'm not always gonna get these, but I know that the level where it's long or it's short is right around here because of what it's shown me to the left here. So this is my edge here, but clearly my edge needs to get better because I got in while it was pulling back, which isn't good because I really don't know when it's turning around. And really it turned around at the perfect spot here. It got super tight, so I could have waited, gotten in at a 1 minute high, the low risking this candle, would have been amazing RVR, or even waited here, waited till it got above here and then gotten in here, risking maybe some here and then risking a little bit more down here. Because not sure if it was done going up, but no matter what, it wanted to get away from this level. So it's just like, how do I get in so I can get in this new long? Because when it breaks here, my idea is that if I'm correct, it's going up. It's not rangy. It's not stuck in a range. It's finding new value. It's finding new range. So I just have to get in on the pullbacks, and the best pullback is the one right against the level that it just broke. So. Got in there, was sweating a little bit, almost got stopped out, and then partialed really heavy here, probably because of how much I was sweating. And you could see this stock was really spready and just jumping around. The volume wasn't amazing, and then of course, so I got out super heavy, added in really heavy, and then got out, and so that was bad management by me. And look, it did exactly what it should. It moved a whole $2 more, hit its ATR, almost hit its ATR. And that's a picture perfect trade for me with edge. So I'm gonna get better at these here. I'm gonna start putting more risk on. I'm gonna start being more patient right around here. I'm gonna start being more patient around here and getting my entry where I want. And then I'm gonna start getting heavy, a lot heavier when it's really confirmed. When I'm getting new 5-minute highs, when I'm really getting volume, et cetera, et cetera. I tried a similar approach here on NVIDIA. NVIDIA, basically a trending up stock. Good volume here in the last week. Basically just making new highs almost every other day. 2 days ago, new high. Yesterday, pullback. Today, towards the top of this new range. Look at here, compression again. It actually made an even better triangle, which would have been the better trade here. You know, here's the top, here's the top. So it's kind of like two tops here and then up here. And you can see it really kicked in. You can see volume really started working right around here. But I maybe was a little quick to get in, and I thought that this was the compression right here. So I thought it was compressing right here. You see this little spike in volume that was right when it was breaking off from here. I thought it was perfect. I thought it was correct. It wasn't ready yet. And that's what's tricky about these I think these compressions are harder than triangles, because the compressions are, you're kind of going with a trend line as your kind of breakout, whereas I think a trend line has multiple levels for stops. You know, there's a stop above here and there's a stop above here, stops out here, stops out here. Whereas if you have a clear resistance to the exact penny, all those stops are placed in the exact same spot, and so that's when you get that real big boom take off. And so I think that either when I added in here, my stop should have been either here, or I shouldn't have gotten in here. I should have waited for a pullback, new 1 minute high, new 5 minute high, 2 minute high, something around there, gotten in right here, stop under here. Would have had to hold through this, but it would have worked. And then if I would have held through that and it would have worked like this and then did that, oh my gosh, I would have been able to. And what I should have done is that as soon as it broke right here, added in super heavy somewhere in here for these next few leg ups, and that would have been an awesome trade. And then I had one more trade on Piton, which was a stupid trade. It wasn't my edge play. I was playing a trend down. Yeah, I'm not happy with it. So, yeah, that's all I got, and thanks. Yeah, so just to reiterate on things that I can do better, this Tesla trade, this was a range trade. When I'm doing a daily range support trade, I'm trading from the bottom of the range to the top. It's different than a breakout trade. The price moves differently. The tape shows differently. Buyers aren't paying on the offer as much. It doesn't have as much momentum and, you know, really good sentiment in that daily range. It's just kind of doing its thing. The RVOL is normally under 101%, under 100%, usually under 1, anywhere from 50 to 80%, and that's totally fine. But because of that, it's going to take its time. It might take the whole day just to get from bottom to top. And so what I need to do is, if I get the good entry against the level, I need to partial most of my shares near the top or in the zone area of the top. That's the trade. That's it. If it gets up there really quick, get out really quick. If it takes its time, then you be patient and let it do its thing, because that's what the daily ranges do. They take their time and really wick around and range around until they make their way up. And then eventually they make their way up. You might get a little climactic volume, and then they just kind of fall back down because they just don't have that much energy. So I need to make sure to partial heavy near the top, and that's the trade. You get the meat of it, get 80% of your shares out, make the money, and then see what can it do later on. Maybe it'll give you a pullback and you can add in. And then the other thing is this. The other thing is, I guess, the DKS. I think I'm gonna probably find these more often. Is these second day, third day plays, I want to look for them more, because I think the compressions work a lot more, because the news is fresh, the volume is always much bigger, and it was just the day before or 2 days before. So these players are super new. The sentiment is still really high, the emotions are still high, and you continue to get decent moves, higher ATR moves, even in the second and third days. So I really want to focus on these more, and I want to get better at trading them, and putting more risk on them, but then also being more patient. And then the other thing is the PLTR. This is a bit different, actually, because it wasn't necessarily a range. I mean, it was a range trade, but it wasn't at the bottom of the support. It was just playing yesterday's high. I was playing a bigger time frame compression, which I do think is a bit trickier, and I don't think that that's my edge. But at the same time, I do understand breakouts, and I felt like I was seeing a breakout happening here. And I also thought that since RVOL was really high, 1.5, I thought that I was predicting the big breakout about to happen. So we'll see. Maybe I can do some back testing and see when these bigger time frame technical breakouts happen midday. How do they set up? What's happening leading into it? Did we need some kind of fresh news to pop out today, or was it just a matter of time? And a lot of times you wait on these and they compress, and then you get the big move later on, and it's just maybe it's just the RVOL and the technical setup that gives it away. So I'll have to figure that out. So, but overall, I think I traded really well, and I think I'm really narrowing down my edge. So thanks.